You know, in Japanese, how you ask for something is every bit as important as what you're asking for. So today, we're going to unlock the single most useful phrase for making polite, natural-sounding requests. Te kudasai. If you want to stop sounding like you're giving orders and start really connecting with people, you are in the right place.
Okay, so let's imagine this. You're in Japan, and you need a little help. Maybe you need someone to open a window, or hey, could you take a photo for me? How do you ask for that without sounding, well, rude or blunt?
Well, the magic answer is the phrase te kudasai. Seriously, think of this as your Swiss Army knife for please do. It instantly transforms a command into a really gentle, respectful request. Mastering this is going to open up so many doors for you, literally and figuratively. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at the simple formula behind the phrase. Then, we'll dive deep into the most important part, the T form. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways. Ready? Let's do this. First up, the please do formula. Let's pull back the curtain on how te kudasai is built, and you'll see it's actually surprisingly straightforward. It's really just a simple two-step process. First, you take whatever verb you want to use and you change it into what's called its te form. Then you just tack on kudasai right at the end. That's it. The real work, the key to the whole thing, is getting that first step right, mastering that te form. So let's start our three-part mission, mastering the T form. See, in Japanese, verbs pretty much fall into three tidy groups, and each group has its own set of rules. Once you learn them, you've pretty much cracked the code. Okay, part one. We're going to start with the easy stuff to get some momentum going. Let's talk about ru verbs. These are your friends because they are super predictable. It's a perfect place to start. For any ru verb, the rule is always the same. You just find the final ru sound at the end of the verb and drop it. Gone. Then you just add te. So, for example, taberu, which means to eat, becomes tabete. See? Simple as that. Now let's see it in action in a real sentence. The verb akeru means to open, and yup, it's a ru verb. So we follow our rule. Drop the ru, which leaves us with ake, and add te. You get akete. So please open the door is simply doa o akete kudasai. Perfect. All right, time for part two, and this is the main event, the yu verbs. Now, there are a few more rules to learn here, but don't sweat it. We're going to break them down one by one, and honestly, this next slide is your secret weapon. Okay, this table right here, this is your master key. I'm not kidding. It might look a little intimidating at first glance, but there are some really logical patterns here based on the final sound of the verb. We're going to walk through this rule by rule using this table as our guide. Okay, so let's zoom in on that first row. If you have a yu verb that ends in u, tsu, or ru, you're going to drop that final syllable and replace it with te. It makes a kind of sharp, cut-off sound like a double T. A perfect example of this is the verb matsu, which means to wait. It ends in tsu, right? So according to our rule, that changes to te. So matsu becomes mate. Put it all together, and koko de mate kudasai is please wait here. Makes sense, right? All right, moving on to our next group. Verbs that end in mu, bu, or nu, they all follow a different pattern. For these guys, you drop that final syllable and add nde. It's a softer, more nasal sound this time. A really common one is yamu, which means to read. Since it ends in that mu sound, it becomes yonde. So if you want to ask someone to, please read this book, you'd just say, kono hon o yonde kudasai. Next up, we've got a really neat pair. Verbs ending in ku change to ite. And then their voiced twin, verbs ending in gu, change to ide. See the pattern there? The ka sound becomes ite, and the ga sound becomes ide. It's a nice little memory trick. For instance, let's take the verb to write, which is kaku. It ends in ku, so you guessed it, it becomes kaite. A teacher in a classroom might say, noto ni kaite kudasai. Please write it in your notebook. And here we are, the last rule for our yu verbs. This one's nice and simple. Any verb that ends in su changes to shite. And here's a super useful example for anyone learning the language. The verb to speak is hanasu. Following our new rule, it becomes hanashite. So, nihongo de hanashite kudasai means please speak in Japanese, a phrase you'll definitely want to know. And just like that, we've gotten through the ru verbs and the yu verbs. We're on the home stretch now. Part 3 is the easiest one of all. because there are only 2 common irregular verbs you need to worry about. That's it, just 2. And here they are, the rebels of the verb world. Suru, to do, becomes shita, and kuru, to come, becomes kite. These 2 don't follow the rules, so you just have to memorize them. But hey, it's only 2. Phew, okay. We have covered a ton of ground, so let's take a second to pause and just recap the most important things you need to remember. So let's boil it all down. Number 1, te kudasai is your go-to phrase for any polite request. 2, the formula never changes. It's always the verbs te form plus kudasai. 3, your job is to get comfortable with the rules for the 3 verb types, the easy ru verbs, the tricky u verbs, and those 2 little irregulars. And finally, seriously, that u verb table is your best friend. Keep it handy while you practice. So there you have it. You now have the power to politely and correctly ask for just about anything you need in Japanese. You've got the tool. The only question left is, what are you going to ask for first?